Well, the Cubs might actually go big for starting pitching.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We are your team every day alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Later in the show, we talk about the World Baseball Classic coming back this spring. Crow-Armstrong named to Team USA. Also get into maybe a couple other guys that might play for their home countries. Some of the named targets for the Cubs, and we start with a report from the Athletics, Patrick Mooney and Sahadev Sharma on Friday, that pitching is absolutely the Cubs' top priority this offseason. And they use the word absolutely, not me. Let me read you paragraph 3 from a story out of the GM meetings last week. The Cubs watched their team in the playoffs and felt they were at least one starting pitcher short, if not two. Yes, rookie Cade Horton's rib injury prevented him from being part of that group. Justin Steele's elbow surgery did the same. But after talking to officials at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas, at the GM meetings, it's
Great
obvious
hotel.
that the Cubs are not simply hoping for internal improvements. Sam, this is the Cubs' weakness, both in the rotation and really the bullpen needs an entire rehaul because of so many guys not coming back, a lot of unproven guys. And these early reports are encouraging because to me, it does signal that this is something they really might do is bring in name guys, especially in the rotation.
I'm not sure that it's encouraging. For me, I think that this team is not a good enough team to where they can have one specific need to focus on. Their needs are multifaceted. And I did an offseason episode of, what was it? I lose track of time, saying to me, the number one need is offense. The number one need is a big bat. How many runs did
you're definitely in the minority on that, although I don't disagree completely.
Well, I don't understand how you cannot disagree with me. We went back and forth, and you said they can't lose Kyle Tucker. So now they're going to lose Kyle Tucker. That's a given. And their top priority isn't to replace said player?
Well, and I tried to make sense of this too last week, but if it's not Kyle Tucker, the options are slim.
Why? Schwarber's
You're not going to
available?
replace Michael Busch with Pete Alonso.
No.
They're not going to go to a 9-figure number that he wants on Alex Bregman. And they're not going to do the same dance with Cody Bellinger. He's already been here. So in free agency, at least, that's it. It would have to be a surprising trade like last winter.
Schwarber's not a given here. He's not allowed. He's not in play.
Well, Schwarber would be the lone big name, and that seems to be your singular focus as well. So really, when you say offense, it's really you're saying him, right?
Well, no, Bregman would be one. A trade would be one. I think they need another bat in there. I don't care.
They don't seem to think that way, which is unfortunate.
Right, and that's why I'm saying that I don't look at it as good news that they're all in on starting pitching, because I think, let me tell you this.
I see what you mean.
Let me tell you this.
But they could go after Zach Gallen. I don't want them to do that.
Imai, is that how I say his name?
Yeah.
They could get him. They could get Cease.
That would be amazing.
They could trade for Joe Ryan. They could do all three of those things. I still don't think the offense is World Series caliber.
Wow.
Let that sink in.
But if they got all three of those guys, in theory, you wouldn't need to score a lot.
No, you wouldn't. But they still wouldn't score enough.
Well, I'm going to have to really reflect on this during my rest of my Sunday evening.
I mean, look, it's great. Starting pitching absolutely is a need. You have Horton, who's on an innings, he hasn't thrown a full season.
And it's the biggest need.
Steele's coming off elbow surgery. Tyone is in and out of the lineup, in the injured list. Boyd just completed his first really long season. I get it. It is absolutely a need. But this idea that the front office is trying to almost just convince the fans that it's the only need or by far the biggest need, this is a team that in the second half of the season offensively was quite mediocre.
Well, that's a redundancy. I think you could just say mediocre. But yes, I remember that as well.
To me, what they're telling me, if they don't make any major offensive additions, is that they have full trust that Moises Ballesteros is going to be a very, very good player. And I feel that way as well, but that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody that has about 57 big league at bats.
And that's what they think, because the same intel from Sharma and Mooney, who, them being local matters from my side of the glass when decoding this stuff. And in this same story, the last paragraph is this. I'm going to read you exact. The Cubs also believe they have most of their spots in the lineup already filled. They would be happy to give young players such as Owen Casey and Moises Ballesteros a chance to show what they could do at the highest level.
Is that because they feel good about the success, or is that because of how the budget works and the position works and they don't want to spend more money there because they already have things filled? Whereas in the pitching line, there's more money, there's more room. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's more top guys available.
Right. That's fair.
Free agency and trade. Yeah, it's I do like that you're on them though in terms of their narrative strategy.
I'm on to this. This is acting like this.
Both executives use the word obvious.
Yeah, it's not obvious.
Right.
I think that's obvious.
I mean, there's got to be a way to look up their team stats in the second half. I'll do that and get it to you.
Well, Fangraphs right now, Sam, at present rosters, ranks the Cubs rotation 22nd and the bullpen 20th. Meanwhile, their offense right now ranks 5th and their defense 2nd. And that's what the computer says, at least.
Great.
It's hard to believe, though, that they have a 5th-ranked offensive roster right now, right?
Well, I think that's because there's a lot of other people right now that don't have players, right? You take Schwarber
right,
off
yeah,
the
it's
Phillies.
currently, right.
Yeah, let's see what happens when it's done.
Yeah, for
sure. You know what I mean? I'm trying to just get overall offensive stats. I only could get the full slate, but
I just don't see how you could. And it's again, this would be great for the show, but how do you sign a DH only? I just don't think it makes sense. Like they're hamstrung in that way, and they did that to themselves.
Yeah,
because I do think Schwarber would be the guy.
But they're only hamstrung because they're making themselves be hamstrung. You could still figure out things to do. Players get hurt. There's openings. There's trades, right. And that's why I said the other day that the Hapno trade.
Preaching to the choir.
The Hapno trade is so makes things so difficult because he's the obvious guy that's just redundant in their lineup,
right?
That
Lefty,
you can move things around,
outfield, yeah.
But just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like sometimes I feel like I was watching a different team. From what I remember, this team in the second half of the season was dreadful offensively for like 2 months. And they didn't exactly light it up in the postseason. Not that a lot of teams do, but
yeah, I mean the month of the August they were really bad.
Right.
Yeah, well, we'll keep exploring this for sure.
As we should.
I have some pitching names that we have in early reports, and let's get to those right after this.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And our team continues to make that late push. Down 17-16 with 50 seconds to go when the Vikings scored. I said to myself, because there was nobody with me, I said, this is exactly where you want to be. I said, Caleb's going to take him right down. I was wrong. Duvernay took him down. Santos' kick looked like it was going left. It went in, and the Chicago Bears are 7-3. I guess I got to start believing, because 7-3 is 7-3. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network.
Matt, let me interrupt you for a sec. So I got it. So the Cubs were 16th in the second half in OPS, 19th in batting average in the second half. Let's see. What were they in OBP? OBP there. So I guess they were not dreadful in the second half. They were just mediocre. They were a mediocre second half offense. They were an unbelievable first half offense, a mediocre second half offense, which turned out to have a good offensive year. But I have concerns that they're especially without Kyle Tucker, because that second half was essentially without Kyle Tucker, because he either was performing poorly or not playing at all. That they're closer to the mediocre side than they are the good side.
Well, no, it should be a concern, and I would prefer if they signed Tucker first to lead off everything.
Well, that ship has sailed.
Well, it has, and so now, and I don't like that it sailed, but now I'm trying to recalibrate what they're trying to do.
Right.
And, if they don't get Dylan Cease, I'm not going to be upset, because I think there's so many other big names available, but it does seem more realistic now that they're going to play in this top tier of the pitching market, and maybe for not one, but two guys, and really just load up like crazy. Can you imagine if they signed here, and I'll be a little conservative. Imagine if they signed Michael King and traded for Edward Cabrera.
Okay, but then isn't that the same exact situation as signing Schwarber? So in July, you'd have King, Cabrera, Horton, Steele, Boyd, Tyone, potentially Imanaga. You're going to have 8 starters. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, is
somebody getting traded?
Someone might get traded, or like, what's the health of all these guys? Are they using a 6-man rotation?
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying. I was the one, the day of the Tucker trade, I was trying to find every way possible to keep Cody Bellinger. That was me.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
I want to keep everybody.
Yeah, and again, I do think they need a pitcher for sure, because they're like a big time pitcher, because there's just too many guys with question marks. But it's just, to me, there's also guys with question marks offensively that would put you in the same spot.
Yeah, to absorb regression.
Yeah.
The Tucker absence and just natural regression, right?
Yeah, well, the Tucker absence, I mean, when Kyle Tucker was not good, this offense was not good. Is that fair to say?
Of course.
So when he's
That's
not
been my argument, though, the last 3 weeks.
Right. And my argument was, I'm fine letting him go, because they're not going to he's priced himself out of a range that makes sense. But I always thought there'd be some sort of replacement in there.
Right. You did say that.
If Pete is more towards the second half hitter than the first half hitter, and Seiya goes through a long struggle, where's the offense going to come from? Mike, besides Bush?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a lot for Ballesteros, Casey, and Shaw to take
Horner.
on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, the Athletic report did mention Dylan Cease. They mentioned Ranger Suarez. They mentioned Amai. They're in on Michael King. They're going to rekindle talks with the Marlins. Remember, they had a deal done for Luzardo last December.
right.
And then the Cubs nixed it. Then the Cubs were really in on Cabrera in July. That didn't happen. So do they get Cabrera this time? Do they get Alcantara? Then Pete Fairbanks was mentioned in there. Sam, the Cubs have no relievers. Look how many relievers they need. Jed was talking about in his media availability last week, we'll be able to play a game tomorrow. And he was referencing position players. And I agree. You could play the Nationals a 3-game series this weekend if you want. You could not play a 3-game series with this bullpen.
Yeah, but I think
you
that's
couldn't.
But I think that's pretty normal at this stage
Right.
of the season, or the off season. I think that's normal. I'm not worried about that right now. They're going to get that fixed.
Right. I have no conviction about them getting a name in the pen because they've proven to me they don't have to do that.
I agree. I agree with that. The Imanaga thing's interesting because I'm starting to hear now that he's going to decline, but they're still going to find a way to get a deal done. Have you heard that?
Really?
Yeah, like a 2-year something.
And how long is that going to take till the New Year's? I mean,
right around your anniversary.
Yeah. So they're going to do what? 2 for 35 or something?
Yeah, 2 for 38, something like that.
And is that going to happen this week?
No, I don't think so.
Right. So that'll happen in December. Sometime.
Yeah, I just heard that as a possibility. It's very confusing.
Yeah, so that deadline's on Tuesday. Yeah, and maybe someone else surprises us taking that offer too. Like King got it with the Padres. Maybe he takes it. Woodruff with Milwaukee. Maybe he takes it. I don't know.
They can still trade him though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, not till they have a no trade clause for about half a year though.
Oh, got it. Okay.
You couldn't trade him until June. I think it's June 15th. Also, Brad Keller has been listed in reports the last few days.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so, as a starter, I haven't seen that.
I saw MLB Trade Rumors. I think it was said that teams might look at him as a starter.
Oh well, he's out with the Cubs then.
Yeah.
That he's gone.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen then. Okay, because I had a proposal. I had a 2-year, 22 M's deal here proposed by me with an option for a 3rd year. If they want to spend a little bit and bring him back, but I guess that's not happening then. Someone I think you could see them get early in free agency, Drew Pomerantz, Sam.
Me too.
I think that might happen in the next, maybe even before this month. So
I agree with that.
All right. Right now at the Athletic projects 6 years for 174 on Cease. Would you do that?
6 for 174.
Yeah, I believe that's a high 20s AAV, 29 on the nose.
I can't answer that. It's too. It would have to be. It depends on, the other guys like Imai. What happens with him? What's
and like
his
how
deal
much he
like?
gets?
Yeah, exactly. Because
okay,
just 6 for 174 in a vacuum for Cease probably. How much is that a year? 30 by yeah, I think I'd do that.
Well, it sounds to me like you want to discuss more of the offensive side. We should lead off with that on.
Well, no, because there's nothing to discuss.
Well,
it looks, according to you and everybody else. We know the line. Yeah, here we go.
You don't like this lineup apparently.
I don't think I feel confident.
You don't think it's enough, rather.
I think the goal going into 2026, after you won 92 baseball games and came within 1 game of going to the NLCS, I think the goal should be heavy favorites in the Central and feeling like your roster could stack up with the world champions. Flash that up again.
Well, the ultimate goal would be getting one of the top 2 seeds for sure.
And does that line up to you flash up with the world champions? And what they could throw at you? I mean, let's just evaluate it. Ian Happ, you're not sure. Nico, you feel pretty good, but probably not a 2-hitter. Bush, you feel pretty good. Saya, up and down. Pete, have no idea what you're going to get. Kelly felt like a fluke. Ballesteros, 22 years old. Dansby, going to hit 230, 240 with 20-plus homers. Shaw, complete unknowns. Does that sound like a 97-win team to you?
Because of their pitching and defense, I'm trying to get myself there.
Okay. Well, listen, I had him at 90 and 72 last year.
But no. Based on just the question on the surface, I would say no.
I agree.
All right. Coming up next, we get into some WBC stuff and also recap the MVP voting from last week.
This episode is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view for my seat before buying. So please download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Shout out to the everydayers. You can become a Locked On Cubs everydayer by joining us for every episode throughout the week. Most Valuable Player Award voting was released on Thursday night, and the Cubs led all of baseball with 4 players in the voting. PCA 9th, Bush 16th, Horner 19th, Saya 20th. I thought that was a cool little nugget, that they had the most individual guys get votes.
Sure.
There was 5 teams, I believe, if I remember right, had 3. Including the Dodgers and Blue Jays, who made it all the way, but the Cubs had one more guy than everybody else. I didn't think Saya would be in there, or Bush, though. I have to be real.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty fringe. Besides for Pete,
right, very down ballot.
Yeah, but I think Pete was deserving a top 10, and you could convince me. You could convince me on Bush for sure, Nico for sure. Yeah, Saya probably was a little bit on the surprising side, but the counting numbers, you know what I mean? The homers and RBIs look good enough to where, you could see that.
Yeah, voters were attracted to that. Also on Thursday night, or was this Friday morning, PCA was added to the Team USA roster for the World Baseball Classic, which is from March 5th to the 17th, with the semifinals and final in Miami. Have you gotten to the WBC? I know there was a long layoff. We didn't have the WBC.
We had it before one of our seasons.
Yeah, 23, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm going to get into it now.
Okay, yeah.
Because one of our players is in it. When does it start?
Yeah, March 5th.
Oh, that's a while away. Stay healthy.
Yeah, that's going to be the big key, right?
What is it right now? Judge, Pete, Carroll, Witt. That those are some of the commitments I saw.
Yeah, I don't think they've named the whole roster.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, does Nico Horner have an outside chance to be on that team?
Why not?
Yeah.
The best second baseman in baseball that's clearly above him would be Ketel Marte. And he's I don't know where he's from, but he's not the United States.
Yeah.
So it'd be between what? Horner. I'm trying to think. Terang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he wanted to be, absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll see if
unless I'm missing an obvious choice. Unless Bichette. No, well, he's Italian, isn't he?
I don't know.
That's yeah, absolutely.
I think he's in the running, and I would imagine Seiya is in the running for the Japanese roster.
I would hope so, yeah.
And is he going to play for them? I don't think he played for them the last time.
Remember, he hurt his oblique right in spring training, right before the WBC.
So then, man, I have to think he's going to play this time.
I think so.
Palencia, Amaya, and Ballesteros might be candidates for Venezuela. That could be kind of cool. And I forgot about this, but Assad and Casey, the last WBC played for Mexico and Canada.
Well, if you remember, Assad had like a coming out party in the WBC. Do you remember that? He was throwing like 96, 97, and everybody was kind of like, whoa, what are the Cubs? What are the Cubs getting? You remember that?
And was he out of the pen?
I believe it was out of the bullpen, if I remember correctly. Yes.
Yeah, no, I remember talking about that.
Yeah, and Casey as well for Canada, and
so you got to believe they'll play for them again if they already did 3 years ago.
Yeah, the main story will be Pete getting the start in center field for the United States of America is pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe DeRosa leads him off for excitement.
No, he'll bat him ninth, and the that outfield in general. I mean, Carroll, who will lead off. Carroll, Pete, and Judge as your outfield. That's pretty fun.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Those two, Pete gets to share the outfield with the best offensive player on planet Earth. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Don't run into him. This
week we might have. I mean, we will have some kind of news on Shota.
Yeah, that's big.
But he could be coming back. That would be that would really be more newsworthy than him not returning. Would be him coming back and then updating the payroll and all that type of thing. Also, the non-tender deadline is Friday. I think Reese McGuire is probably nervous when he wakes up this week.
I don't think nervous is the right word. Yeah. I think these guys know their fate and how that works, right. And he'll go to someone else. He did a nice job.
He did. He had a great year.
Well, I would.
And the winter meetings are only a few weeks away.
Man.
Let me see. 1, 2. Wow, they're only 3 weeks from today. Incredible. All right, we'll be back.
Goes by fast.
We'll be back on Tuesday with more off-season discussion. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Go Cubs.